Okay, an insight about Parshas Vayikra. So in Parshas Vayikra it says in Perek Beis that whenever a carbon is brought, so you have to put salt on it. It's called a bris melach. A bris is a covenant. It's a bris of salt. What's the bris all about? So Rashi says that it's a bris made with the lower waters. When the waters were separated in the second day of creation, right, there was the higher waters and the lower waters, and the water that was pushed to be down under in this world, they didn't really want to go down. It's unfair. How come the other waters get to be up and we have to be down? So Hashem made with them a bris, a covenant, that salt from the lower waters is going to be brought on the Mizbeach for a carbon. And that is the bris melach. So it's interesting that when we look in the Chumash, we see another bris that was made with melach. Later on in Parshas Korach, when Hashem promised all the truma, all the things that were given to Kohanim, so it says it's a bris melach olam. Rashi says that there was a bris made to salt that it would not rot. We know that salt is the one food that remains forever without rotting. So isn't that interesting? Salt gets two brisim. One, that it's going to be brought as a carbon on the Mizbeach, and a second one that it's not going to rot. Like, wow, what did the salt do to deserve this double bris? What is the bris of the salt? The truth is, there's only one real bris with salt. The water, the lower waters, they wouldn't agree to go down. It's unfair. Why should we go down and the other water remains up? So Hashem said, there's a principle in creation that when things are low, the lower things are in this world, the higher they get to be in the next world. That's what the Gemara says in Bava Kama, that all the animals that are brought as a carbon are all the animals that are hunted in this world. It's the cow, shar, kesef, ez, a goat, a sheep. They're the weaker ones, because when you're less of a reality in this world, so it enables you to be more of a spiritual nature. The water, the lower waters, didn't want to be distanced from being connected to above. So Hashem said, I'm going to make you a covenant. You're going to be, some of your salt is going to be brought as a carbon on the Mizbeach. And therefore, you're always remaining connected. And you know what? That's why salt never rots. Because the only rotting comes from the lower world. In the spiritual realm, there is no rotting. From the fact that the salt remains connected, that's why salt retains forever. But wait, how much salt is put on the Mizbeach? A little bit, a tiny bit of salt. Is that enough for a whole ocean? The answer is yes. Because if not for the whole ocean, we wouldn't have that little bit of salt that's brought on the Mizbeach. So here we have a little pinch of salt that creates a tikkun, that creates a connection to spirituality of a whole ocean of water. And in the same vein, even a carbon, that Rashi says in Ksubas Daf Yud, the whole world has a zchus of food, in the zchus of the carbon. Why? Because all the karbanos are brought from food. So that means that the whole food chain is actually experiencing something special in the fact that a little part of that food is being brought as a carbon. That's the inyan of the bris melach. So from here we could learn two things which can be practical for us in life. Number one is, sometimes, even if a lot of other things aren't really going that well, but a little something goes, you know what? It could be that it's worthwhile to live just for that little thing. Sometimes one little aspect is enough to make all of life worth living. That's number one. And number two is that we have to realize sometimes we get knocks and we get down and we get downfall and we get downtrodden. And we have to realize that sometimes that itself is actually what is the cause for us to grow even more, just like the water, by virtue of the fact that it went down under the rakia, down to this lowly world. But in that merit, it was able to be brought on the Mizbeach. And that is something that caused the tikkun to the whole ocean, that all the salt in the world is something that never rots. That's something we should remember for ourselves, that even when we're knocked down a little bit, that itself could actually be something that contains within it the seeds of growth and spirituality.